So here you have an elevated inversion layer. So it's cold, it's warm, cools, and then it warms again, and then it cools again. So you have so that's not like a cause of necessarily air quality issues, but it's
This is something about
yeah. So
You're right next to it.
Oh.
It won't work. I have another one here. They had, but it's not working. I don't know why. Yeah. Maybe I should try
Do you
mine.
want me to sit somewhere else?
No. Could we, okay, if we have both screens down?
Oh, yeah, that's a good question. Let me find out.
Oh, that's asking a lot. I don't know if I can do that. If I laugh, it might cause a problem. So no comedy routine. But it's not.
Yeah, so generally it's the real version there. Yeah, for sure. So viewpoint is just
Okay, everybody ready to get started? Food is on its way, so be patient for a minute. Go ahead, So we'll get started. For those on the broadcast, we'll talk about the actual air quality competition here in a minute. Just a few quick announcements. So over here on the table, there's a flyer for the Big Mountain Day event coming up October 25th. Feel free to take extras of those, hand them out, pass them around. There's a lot of PDFs. I mean, there's a PDF also that I put in the newsletter. Please go and get to that as soon as possible. You know, send that out to your friends, send that out to everybody. We are looking for speakers for this as well, so we'd really like to have some of you come to speak that have spoken over the summer.
Please speak.
Please
go register to speak quickly.
Exactly. Other things coming up, September 13th, we're planning a mixer and a hackathon. That'll be at the Leonardo and also somewhere downtown. So it'll be kind of a get together for the whole day sort of thing, and then you can meet with executives, CIO, VCs in the evening on September 13th. Those are the two big events coming up. The meeting, there's a meeting tomorrow at Adobe for the Hadoop lunch, and then there's the Leonardo meeting on Friday as well. That's the announcement there to the air quality.
And tonight will be at OC Tanner to basically go over a lot of this stuff.
Okay. And then I'll let you go over the rules and everything, but they're over there on a piece of paper if you want them as well. What other things did we have? Ben, did you want to mention anything about the contest coming up for your side?
Yeah, so we have another competition, which the problem is it's a smaller competition. It's kicking off Friday. It'll go for a month. You can go to utah.datacompetition.com for information. And Friday I'll give a full solution, which is a valid submission. So hopefully that should engage people that are with us. And my solution will not win.
Oh.
And I'm not allowed to compete. I'm not eligible for prizes or money.
So, and we'll send around a link in that into the newsletter as well. Utah data competition.
Yep.
Okay.
Since we're going over news items, we should also mention that Ben has a new picture up on his LinkedIn profile and Twitter page. Yeah.
I do like it.
It's real. Everyone thinks I photoshopped it, it's real.
Excellent. Well, so thank you all for coming out today, and for all of those that are joining us online as well. So originally, going back to what we were doing here, why we brought up the air quality competition in the first place. Our goal is to help you become the big data hub for the world. We want this to be a place where you learn about big data, and we want this to be a place where the jobs are and where companies are that are really doing amazing things with big data, right? So part of that is gaining as much recognition as possible for what we're capable of doing and helping as many people as possible learn how to do it. So we've been spending the last couple months preparing people, teaching people, trying to do everything we can to help grow the community. And we're doing it all related to air quality. We've chosen air quality because it's something that affects all of our lives, and it's something that actually has a huge impact on everything that we do, and is something that is an incredibly complex problem, right? So when it's so complex, and when we've been relatively vague about what should or shouldn't be focused on, it's very quick to start wondering, okay, how do I get started? How do I make this something that could be valuable for me, that could help my career, could help me win the competition, could help me get some recognition? You know, how do I create the team that's going to actually do something impactful? Up until this point, we have not said, look, teams should do this or teams should do that. Today we're going to announce some basic rules and an outline. This is a framework for competing. We'll also briefly mention some things that we feel are really important, and I'm going to go through a lot of information. So overall, hopefully this is really helpful for people. Early on here though, just a fair warning, there's a video, and it's with my family. Something that my wife created years ago, and I'll touch on it again here in a minute, but just want to say that I really, really love my kids. Imagine we all feel that way. And as the video talks about, and it sets a completely different mood, right? But as the video talks about, this air quality issue that we're covering today affects thousands of children's lives. It's the leading cause, asthma is the leading cause for kids being hospitalized. Right? Cardiovascular diseases, cancers, so many other things from a healthcare perspective change the lives of our children, change our lives, really make a big difference. There are also economic factors that are causing Utah to lose a lot of money. Right? We're losing tourism dollars, we're losing businesses that could potentially come here to Utah. So many other little things in productivity, many different factors that I hope many of you discover as we go. Right? And then quality of life in general. All sorts of things related to time and the way that we feel and whether we get depressed or not, all relate to how gloomy a particular day is. Right? Or the way that that we approach our day, whether that's now we're going to ride the train, etc. But what should we focus on as a group? So, first thing that I want to make sure that we do is we keep in mind that we want to make a difference. Right? Rather than focusing on the tools or the technologies or the methodologies that you use to approach this problem, we need to worry about either the questions that need to be asked going forward, and maybe help researchers gain those questions or an understanding of what isn't understood, or we need to understand a little bit more about maybe answers that you guys can discover and maybe help flesh out. Right? I don't know how all those things relate, but please keep in mind that this competition and the way that the prizes will be given, everything else that relates, will be tied back to what it is that you're showing, not how you did it. Which means you don't necessarily need to use big data technologies. So here's the video. Let me see if I can scroll out here real quick. Because Pat's computer is not going to be able to. It's always tricky with that. Pat, is it up in the corner? Where's the video? You said that you took it up there.
No, you should be able to hit play there.
Yeah, this isn't a very good resolution. Just scroll down a little bit. Right there. Right there. to watch the other videos. Okay, so again, resolution is going to be great, and we've now got. There we go. So this was my wife for her master's program several years ago. She created this video trying to dance. Am I going to have audio?
I don't know.
Let's take a second. That's fine. Technical difficulties. I apologize. So this is my kid that's now 3 years old.
Sound from the afternoon's call. Open your eyes. Down and spending your time walking forwards. It's to yourself the things you need go slow. Inside, you just don't know let your bright light shine. Let your words be home. Far beyond this life. Beyond this life. Beyond this life. Hold on to it. Everything's over now. And the fear taking over. You tell me, is that what you want? To pick up your life. Time after time. You're falling behind.
Even at current rates, public transportation greatly decreases that air quality.
Let your bright light shine. Let your words be home. Far beyond this life. Beyond this life. Beyond this life. You should feel better now. Don't you feel better, spending your time holding forwards. You never speak to yourself that the things you need are so inside. You just don't know how your life let your words live on.
have an opportunity as a community, with everything that we've set up for this air quality competition, to make a huge difference. Not only in our lives, but in the lives of those who really are losing their kids to SIDS and to asthma and other forms of premature death. Now, Dave Sewell always likes to joke about saving 350 lives, and I'm not saying that we're here to save 350 lives. We may not save one. We may not even make a huge difference in one particular life. But somebody in this room has the ability, whether it's technically or in some other way, to find something amazing, to do something incredible with this competition that will make a difference. Maybe and hopefully all of us have a chance to do that. So the competition, we mentioned that we wanted to focus on particular areas, right? So I won't, you kind of need to go through everything quickly, but I won't go into all these specifics, but there are a lot of different causes of bad air. Matt and Bryce Bird from DEQ were able to talk more about these causes and how they work and everything else. We have all that on a YouTube channel that you can go view later, right? There's also the effects that I was mentioning earlier, the economic and the healthcare and the quality of life effects. For us as a community, we started first with gathering as much data related to air quality as possible. We tried to go in and clean that data and make it available, make it all accessible, teach everybody about what we need to do and how to approach it. But at this point, we all know that it's not all accessible. Okay? We're going to do as much as we can. Continue to think about that. Continue to work on it as the project goes on. Right? Well, hopefully, we've at least given you a good jumping point from where now you can start competing. So now it's time for us to compete and achieve something amazing. So, we've jumped out. We just lose that. Sorry, just a second. More technical difficulties. All right. So that last slide, real quick, I won't even worry about going back to it, but we talked about how we will have an executive board, or we do have an executive board. We have an advisory board. There's some very impressive people on that list. And then we also have a judges panel. And we'll continue to build that out. So when the time comes, we judge the competition itself. Okay. So the competition begins this week. Please feel free to start competing now. And as of this second, it goes through October 1st. At that point, final presentations will be due. The 26th or the 24th of that month, we prefer to have your presentations in a draft form turned into us. And then by next week, we want to see your charters, your goals, for what you want to accomplish. Now that may change, but this will help all of us build out the ideas of what we actually want to tackle. The house team will be able to provide a charter by then, and hopefully we'll be able to all see what others are working on. Your advantage in this competition is not to keep things secret. We actually want you all to share what it is that you're working on, how you're working on it, different approaches so that other people can work on similar things, or maybe take different components of each other's work so we can all accomplish something great. Right? The way you'll win will actually be tied more back to the factors that you're looking at. Will be tied back to the presentations that you're giving, the effective communication, the ways that you're getting across the point about how important that point really is, whether it's unique or whether there's some other factor about it that becomes incredibly valuable for the community and for things related to air quality. Does everybody have the sheets now? Did you?
Yeah, so this slide is printed on here, essentially, on this piece of paper, and then it's the PDF that was sent out this morning to many of you, and then it's also available, which we'll send out in the newsletter as well. So
please sign up for the newsletter. Also, please sign up for Utah Geek Events mailing list. You should be checking there for registration for the Big Round View conference anyway, right? So you do have a PDF link on there that you can find all of these rules and information.
The website, bigdatautah.org, will be updated most likely tonight. We've just got to get the final update done to it. But in other words, all these links should be available in different spots on those places.
Pat, do you want to cover things like the size of teams and all that?
Yeah, if I look on this, like I said, it's a little easier to read than all of the pieces on here. But we're suggesting you gotta have at least 5 members. We're suggesting 5 to 10. We're suggesting larger groups than we did last time. And that's mainly because it's a bigger thing, lots more data, lots more differences. Must have 1 newbie. Now, we're not defining what a newbie is. What we're saying is that you must have 1 person that you're mentoring. Whether that's mentoring on a big data technology, whether that's mentoring on analytics, whatever that may be. And to show that that person's a newbie, you actually need to present on what they learned at the end of the event. So it's not just something that's going to be, this was our newbie. Here we picked up this person that's been doing data analytics for 15 years. No, that doesn't work. Sorry.
So David can't be.
Nobody sitting right there could be a newbie whatsoever. I'm sorry.
Kind of want some mentoring.
It's just not going to happen.
At least character development.
Yeah, the newbie's got to be technical, not anything.
Not ethics-based.
No. All code must be open source. All data must be open. What that means is that at the end of the competition, you must turn over your code. Plain and simple. Plan for it to be part of the open source license. Plan for any data that you use to also be put on the Open Civic data site. Okay, so if you do have an inside track to somebody's healthcare system and you can get the data from there, that's fine, but you better make sure that it can be turned over at the end, because all data will be turned over, all code will be turned over at the end.
Also, while you're gathering data, if you find additional data sets, please let the community know so that they can
Yes.
use that data as well.
Right. Have to have a focus on Utah's air quality. We're not saying that it has to do one specific thing, but it must be related to Utah's air quality in some way, shape, or form.
So if you're out of state and you do want to look at additional states, please make sure the focus is Utah.
Yeah, so comparing back to Utah and stuff like that. We don't want to know what Wyoming is compared to New York or something. We don't really care right now. And then the house team is not eligible for the grand prize. They will be eligible for other prizes, but they're not eligible for that. Things you'll be evaluated on. The result is probably the most important factor of what you're going to be evaluated on. We want to see results out of the competition. Whether that's, you made an impact, whether that's you gave all this data back and you showed how it was going to improve the world or how it was going to improve Utah's air quality, it has to be something based on results. And then a lot of points for presentation. If you can't boil this down and present it to everyone, it's not going to make an impact. And that's what we need. We need things that boil down to everyone, not just, this was my great technical thing that I did. That's not going to work, right? And then effective communication on how well you communicate that to everyone. Those are basically the rules. The prizes are, right now, we've got at least a grand prize and overall, and then a mentoring prize. That's where the newbie part comes in. There has to be some sort of newbie in there. Those are going to expand, but right now, that's where they stand. Prizes. And then, obviously, we list out in the PDF, there's listing of resources available. All the JIRA sites that we've already talked about, we've already been working on the Open Civic site. There's a whole lot of new ones that were just added in the last few days, and I'm getting those up as quickly as possible. But when it comes down to resources too, you can use any data set you find as well. You don't have to use just one of ours. You can use whatever you find, but we ask that you share that with everyone else as well. Must be present at the Big Mountain Data Conference to win. This is a quick way for us to get registrations, obviously. That's the only reason. No, we're doing the announcements of the winners at the Big Mountain Data Conference. Somebody must be there to show up and say, yes, I won it.
So if you're out of state team, please make sure that you contact us and we have at least someone here tied to your team, or if you guys can fly out.
How to register at the bottom of this PDF, there's a form to fill out. It's a simple newsletter form, basically. It's going to list on their team name. Really, if you don't know who your team name is right now, say I'm looking. It tells you that on the tip. But if you have a team or you're intending one, just pick somebody as a lead and call it, Team Ben or Team David or whatever you need there for the team. It doesn't have to be this great, super cool name. We can change it later on. Right now, we just need something that puts all the people together as the same name. Okay. Yeah, so that's on the form, and then otherwise register for Big Mountain Data too as well.
So we did mention quite a few times that we will have storage available, some other things for you guys as well, right? So we've had many companies reach out to us that want to be involved in that and try to help out the community. So one, good job being the community that people want to be involved with, right? So Pure Storage has tried to provide storage as well as lab space. We might end up being able to use the lab space. For now, we chose a different storage option. EMC Pivotal was also looking at providing a 1,000 node cluster, but we decided on a different solution as well. Cloudera is providing money for AWS services. We'll have the ability to put the data up there into S3 buckets, and then also there will be some money allotted for compute power and everything else. Please reach out to Pat as you need AWS services. Those will be available on a per use, we're actually going to have to look at who's using it, why they're using it, everything else, because it's a limited number of funds, and if you use the AWS, it gets expensive quickly, right? And then we do have the clusters. We have a cluster from Supermicro. This will allow us to put up to 93 terabytes of information on this cluster. We will have compute power there as well. We have access to that as of next week, where we're going to start ingesting the data, getting as much info as we can, and then we'll have access to it for 1 month. So we'll try to make that available and out there. In fact, so Trace3 is the company that's helping provide that. In fact, they've been the ones that have really gone behind the scenes and have done a lot of this footwork for us and trying to find out how we can get some of this available. So is there anything additional you'd like to bring up there?
No, so I'm Blake with Trace3. We've worked with Nick and Pat and crew to try and, as Nick said, to come up with some resources for everybody to use here. And so what we've been able to do is through one of our partners here, Supermicro, they have a lab system. It's 2 master nodes and 8 slave nodes, has 96 terabytes of raw capacity. So, obviously Hadoop does its thing, and so your usable capacity will be less than that. But it's current generation stuff, all 10 gig connectivity, and so we'll provide Pat the login, the VPN access to that, and you can divvy that up however you want. And as Nick said, we have it starting on the 25th, and a week of basically ingest, and then 4 months of beating on, or sorry, 4 months, 4 weeks of beating on it however you want. So we'll have a total of 5 weeks we can use the cluster. And these guys have been really good to donate this. They're not asking for anything in return except, hey, recognize that Supermicro provided this. And as we look at it, we know Hadoop likes to be, its access to storage as natively and close as possible. So we felt the best option was indeed to use this. We'll have exclusive, unfettered access to this thing. Nobody else will be on it except this competition for that period of time. It's currently set up with some version of Cloudera distro, right? So we'll give you that kind of information, but we own it for 5 weeks, and we can do whatever we want with it, and give Supermicro your business when you can, right? Hopefully through Trace3.
And Trace3, yeah. And thank you very much, by the way.
Real quick thing too, just Trace3 is absolutely committed to the Utah Hadoop Users Group, and we have a big data practice. That's something we do, and we were real excited to find these guys and your group, and so we want to continue to support you however we can moving forward in whatever way that makes sense. So this is hopefully a really good start to that relationship.
Thank you very much.
Good thing to mention too off of that is that we're getting that cluster for resources, but the competition is not limited to any sort of technology, any sort of one technology. We want you to use those resources, definitely, but if you end up using your own technology or using a different technology than what we've suggested here, that's fine. It's whatever gets the job done to produce the results, not limiting you by technology.
So there is more to this, but I want to ask, I feel like this is a good time to stop and see what questions people have related to whether it's what Trace3 is providing or whether it's related to the rules or anything else about the competition.
So, next question in my mind is what's the best way to get the teams formed to be the most optimal, right? I mean, how do we, I don't know a lot of people, I don't know if other people are in the same boat that I am, but how do we match up so that we get the right talent, the right teams to be successful?
Yeah. So the question was, how do we make the team that is going to be the most optimal? How does each team decide what is it going to take to create a team that's going to be able to turn around and do something successful, right? And it's a great question because we only have a month to figure this out. And if we spend a lot of that time building the team, then it'll be too late, right? So there are a couple of things. One, we are building a house team. We're going to try to make that something that you guys can mentor after a little bit as well, or can kind of mirror a little bit as well. And we'll be announcing who's on the team, how that team makeup looks, what we're doing for our charter, but also breaking out our milestones, and then giving feedback to the community. Hey, we met this particular milestone this week. This is kind of how we did it. Just kind of a synopsis of what we're trying to do, right? And then I imagine that people like David, since he wants to be mentored, maybe he can mentor others on how to build a great team. No, I do imagine that there are other people here in the community that have a lot of input and are willing to say, look, these are the key components of what you need to build a team to accomplish a task like this. We do, for the house team, we will have an executive for that, and so we do suggest, look, it doesn't matter if you're at the executive level, it doesn't matter if you're technical at all, it doesn't matter if you are somebody who likes making videos. Please come out, help out teams, and we'll be able to present and all work together to do something incredible. Right? It's by the community, for the community, and that doesn't include just those of us who have done something or understand how these technologies work. Are there questions?
Yeah, you say, please come out and help out teams. How do we do that?
Yeah.
I mean, is there a URL to go to? Is there a discussion group someplace where we can say, here's what I do, here's what I'm interested in? Like, I don't have any clue about what to do that except these meetings, which are already have an agenda.
Yeah. So the question is how do you actually get into a team, or how do you show what you can do so that we can all get together connected? The form that you're going to fill out to register for the competition lists skill sets, and you can put in skills there of what you do, program management, good with SQL databases, things like that. So that's one option right there, and we're going to share that with everybody. The second one is the Google Groups. The UHUG Google Group is probably the best place to kind of announce, hey, I'm looking for a team, here's some of my skills, here's what I'm going to do. And then connecting with those people through that. So right now, those are the two best options. Now the other options, of course, is at this meeting. Talk to your neighbor, talk to other people at this meeting. Hopefully everyone in this meeting is trying to find a team, or they're forming a team and they already have plans. So that's where you need to be social and talk to the rest of the team. So those are the key things.
Yeah, we do have a meeting tonight, tomorrow, and Friday, all to help you build teams. And I think too, probably a good time to go grab pizza. Sorry, should have said something.
Good job.
But another thing on that form, real quick, is that the form does ask for your team name.
Yeah, we mentioned that.
So make sure you say, yeah, I'm looking or whatever, and that will.
So we're going to turn in a form that's just for now. For some of it's just ourselves, I guess.
Yeah. When you go to the form, we bring it up so that everybody sees it. So there's the form. And like I said, this is a link that's inside that PDF, and that's going to be sent out in the newsletter and everything else. But you can see skills functions on the team. Your charter goal would be kind of, I want to look into driving or technology, or I want to look into something about care. And then team name would be looking for anybody that's actually looking for a team. And then we're going to kind of make those public to other people to let them know, hey, this person is looking. He has skills on project management, or he has skills on NoSQL and stuff like that.
We'll be trying as organizers to help create teams as much as possible, but also the house team, we're going to pick people from the community as well that are looking for teams or that have a particular skill set that we need. And so there will definitely be a place for you to compete and to be involved. please don't decide, hey, I don't have a team, so I don't know if I can be involved. We'll make sure that you're on the team.
So the big point here is that you'll definitely want to talk to others to get onto a team. That's really what's going to need to happen. You're going to have to advertise yourself a little bit in the Google groups or something else and say, looking for a team. If nothing else, contact myself and Nick, and we'll help work with you on how to get onto a team. The president.
Okay, while everybody's eating, I'll go over a few other things. Again, kind of need to go through quickly, but all around we want to be able to involve the community, right? If it's just us as technologists working on this, we're not going to make that big of an impact. So we have sent out an air quality survey to a bunch of people. How many responses do we have now?
40 from that, and then we've got, I think, 5 or 6 from the abstract submission, the original abstract submission. And I can pull those up as if we want to come through this quickly and talk about them. And then Matt can speak to some of those too as well. Some of those ideas and concepts.
Yeah, great. Great.
I hope this is on topic. Was there any update on the Cloudera training?
The Cloudera training, yes. The Cloudera training is going to happen before the week of Big Mountain Data. They're working on which course is going to be given and everything, and they should have that out in the next couple of weeks or so. But the intent is to have a Cloudera training before the Big Mountain Data.
There was also training from Cardinal Path at a discounted rate and everything. Cardinal Path does training for Google Analytics and for Google AdWords. When they talked to me about it originally, I thought it was something else, but either way, if that's valuable to anybody, let me know. So hopefully the surveys will end up helping you create your charters, help you create what goals that you want to look at, but ask around and ask different people in the community as well. So we are going to work with different PIOs and have been working with PIOs to state public information officers, as well as public relations people. There's a couple reasons for this. One, we want to spread the word as much as we possibly can. But two, when you're done with your presentations, there's a chance that somebody's going to say something here that may have some less than desirable consequences if we don't approach it in the right way, right? And so we don't want you guys spending all of your time worrying about how whatever it is that you're showing could influence the rest of the world in chaos theory, right? But if we can instead have some of these other individuals help us create the messages around it, hopefully we'll still be able to provide very positive outcomes for everything here. Right? Oh, along those lines real quick too, we're not necessarily expecting you to turn in some result that says, hey, I know with 100% accuracy that this is the case with air quality, right? I mean, as Matt can tell us, that's in here is not impossible, right? At least at this point, it's impossible. So maybe don't plan to do that, because I don't think that will be a valid thing. But realize that some of the answers that we give may have some things with the data. Make sure that you're showing that in your presentations later as well. Look, we weren't able to look at these factors. They may play into this additionally beyond how fast somebody drives or whatever.
So we can't give the names of the lives that we will save by doing this?
No comment.
You'll have to fire me.
So we mentioned the 13th, we'll have a mix with venture capitalists, angel investors, startups, other people that are in the investment community, as well as technical executives, and all of you there as well. Please make sure you come out for that and the hackathon. And then, so your results. So, I'm not going to go into this, but you can look it up later on the Prezi, but we'll have prizes, we'll be announcing the results. We're trying to get ways to make sure that you're recognized. Potentially really big ways that you're recognized. So do something really amazing, and I do imagine this will greatly affect your career and how your neighbors think of you. Oh, no, sorry. Neighbors. Also, make sure that we're making a difference. We'll try and do everything we can once you turn something in to help get the momentum to make that happen. Whether it's getting this to research groups that can turn this into legislature, whether it's helping other research groups take this on beyond, or universities here locally. We are trying to work for capstone projects, and many other things, all with the work that you guys are doing that will hopefully build the community well in the future. So, beyond the concern of, hey, do I have a team or don't have a team? I've heard many times from many people, including myself and Pat, that there just isn't enough time in one day, right? And you just might be feeling underwater. You might feel like you just don't have time to compete. You might get locked down with everything that you have at work, or with the competitions that you're running, or with trying to keep up with men, right? I mean, so many things that really might affect your life. We understand that, and we get it, right? Let us know how we can help, whether that's providing additional team members that can take over some of the things that you wanted to do. Maybe it's contacting us and we can try and interweave some of the stuff that you're doing with the house team, or so on and so forth, right? Like, let's all work together as a community to do something, and try to take some of that time component off of one another where possible. Right? And there is no time commitment. Somebody turns around and turns in Ben's solution, it might win. Maybe it won't, but for that other competition. I mean, there is no time commitment. Somebody may create a quick video, and it may actually end up being the most impactful thing. It may provide the most insights. It may be the thing that wins a grand prize. We don't know, right? But spend the time that you can and try to focus on making a difference. What's that?
It could be an extraterrestrial.
Yeah, well, that was fun, but I said that was inappropriate.
Nobody is mind control.
Yeah, that's right. So anyway, we all have different situations. We all have different skill sets, right? We can't all be super cool data scientists. So let's use our strengths and weaknesses together as a community. Pat mentioned this before, but what can you use? Obviously we want to see some of these really cool technologies that are out there, and data science methods and everything else, right? But please feel free to use whatever means you need and your team decides will help you provide the best result and the best presentation. Searching for the best results. So the best results will probably come from the best questions asked, right? That's where we've been asking surveys and everything else. But ask out there, find really great hypotheses or hypotheses for your particular team. But hopefully we can do something that changes the entire world, saves more than 350 lives, and is a template for everything else in the future. Right? So, anyway, if you have any questions, need any help, let us know. We're here to help. The house team will be there as a place where we can provide suggestions back to the community, where we can ask for suggestions from the community. Again, we all want to work together. Hopefully, having that team and having Pat and I there as people that you can communicate with will help facilitate something really great and successful. Last couple of things, let's clean the air, right? Utah can be kind of gross during winter. We're headed there here just a little bit. Imagine the kind of impact it could have. It's pretty incredible. The second one on that come up, and maybe Matt can talk a little bit about some things that he can imagine changing. I don't know, something, right? But let us know your thoughts. I think each of us can make a difference, and then let's challenge you all to make a difference. Especially those competitive guys that really feel like you need a challenge. Yeah. Please invite everybody, your coworkers, people that are technologists, people that aren't, talk to your kids, talk to your teenagers. If you have a teenager, they're probably going to be the most creative person you know right now, maybe much to your chagrin, right? But use that creativity to help you decide how you should approach this and what you should look at. I was driving to a meeting the other day on Monday or whatever, and in the radio on the way into that meeting, they were talking about how when you have a lot of fear when you're really young, when you're a baby, it actually changes the way that you have babies when you're older. You decide to have children younger, and you decide to have more children when you grew up with a little bit of fear, right? It'd be really interesting to see if air quality is how affects it. Maybe that's why we have so many kids.
That way the eye is on.
Yeah, that's the thing. Anyway, just make sure you're looking at all the correlations out there, and make sure you're trying to find something really cool, really creative, not just the way that cars affect the air. Okay. Questions before we?
Well, I was going to, while you're doing that, I'm going to bring up the list of all the servers.
Okay, absolutely. Go ahead.
Yeah, I have a question about the open data,
Yes.
how that's defined. I mean, there's some things I've looked at on websites where you have to register and agree not to hand out the data.
Yeah.
But it seems like, now is that something that can fit within what we do?
Yeah, so there's things like the PEMS data set and other things where we have to go in and register for it.
Mhm.
You know, if at the end of the competition, some of the data that you have, you can't make available because it's not publicly available, let us know how you got access to that data and make it so that we can get it as close to open as possible. But we do understand, like, some people are going to work for a healthcare company and they're going to have already been through HIPAA certs and all sorts of things where they have access to data that maybe other people can't get access to, and they won't be able to make that open. Please tell us what you're doing, how you've got that data, everything else, and we'll still consider that open data. Does that answer the question?
Yeah.
But yeah, otherwise, still.
So as long as here's the website you go, you can, sign up, and then anybody can get to it. Yeah.
This is how I got it. Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, even if the website is behind a sign-in form,
Mhm.
it's still open data, because even the PEMS data sets, everything else, you still have to, they want to know who's accessing it, but they're not stopping you from accessing it.
Okay.
That's the big difference. So if something says you cannot access this unless you have some sort of clearance, or you have some sort of situation that you can get to it, that's where we want to avoid that data, because we can't. So what's up on the screen, as you have other questions too, is these are the things that were answered from the public, from the air quality survey that we sent out. The first question is, if you could learn anything you wanted to about the air quality in Utah, what would you do? What do you think about would be the most important things to learn about? So these are all the discussions based on this. I didn't do any text analytics on this or anything yet, I haven't had a chance. But basically the idea was we were going to start taking some of these suggestions, putting them on the Open Civic site as ideas, and then you could vote on what ideas you want to work on. Now again, these ideas are wide open. A lot of them are, as you can read through, as you're probably reading through right now, they're very wide open. Because some of these were just sent out to general public as well. So you could have a non-technical solution in here, you could have some technical solutions. It's very open as to what you could talk about. Matt, I'll invite you up kind of to look at some of them as well and possibly talk about any questions or anything that comes up. Matt is our resident air quality expert right now, and I give him this loosely because he's going to kill me for it. But he works with the MESOS data that we've gotten from those guys and knows a lot more about it than any of us. So when we talk about some of these things that people are suggesting and what they'd like to learn, you might be able to give us some of the ideas of where we can find it or what we need related to those things. So that's why I kind of wanted you here also to help out with any of those questions. Does anybody have questions about some of the topics that have come up on here? And this link will be sent out. This is a public document on Google now. It'll just be sent out so that you can look through it. I'm just going to digest them, try to put them into one idea and put them on the Open Civic site so we can say this is an idea. Because some of them do repeat. Many of them say, I'd like to reduce how much time I drive in traffic. So let's find a way to solve traffic problems, things like that. But some of them are very interesting.
I like the glass of the mountains stop trap smog.
That was a wonderful one. Yeah, I was really shocked and surprised about that one too.
Good one.
Can we measure the particulates that come from blasting the mountains?
So interesting thing though, there is actually an area, and I can't remember where it is, but there's a place where they actually dug a hole through a tunnel through a mountain to allow airflow to go through that mountain and act as a vacuum.
That was actually my kid's solution.
Oh.
Big fan, all through the mountain.
Yeah.
I've heard the big fan
Yeah, so
times.
So that actually has happened. You brought that up with me months ago, but it's actually happened.
Somewhere in the world.
Yeah, somewhere in the world. There's also 2 buildings in Beijing on an island that they're trying to build. Those particular buildings are meant to also suck air through and pass it out clean with a bunch of filters on it and so on. So
Using diesel engines to repel the fans.
Coal flames. You know, that brings up another good one in here. There was one that actually mentioned specifically how much diesel semis contribute, and because there's how many of them and they contribute more. The person actually believes 100% that it's all because of diesel engines. It's not anything else. So again, that's a question of, could we quickly say, is there a fact that could quickly be found and said, no, this isn't even close?
Well, Matt knows the answer to that one, right?
Well, yeah, no, it's definitely not just diesel trucks. That's, yeah.
Well, a diesel is heavier, so it tends to fall to the ground. And
Yeah, it does. And also, reduction in sulfur content in diesel fuels has done a lot to reduce the amount of sulfur dioxide that gets built up in conversion periods and stuff like that.
So that's made a big difference over the years as well, too.
Yeah, yeah, they've done a
Being able
lot.
to answer that question through the data competition might matter to the group that thinks that, because you see diesels, you see the big smoke coming out.
Again, yeah, and Dave, you make a perfect point. This was general public, again, that asked these things, and I can tell you right now, just from reading through these, there's at least 15 or 20 of these that are about cars and traffic. And right there, one of the biggest things is, do we need to categorize simply where all of it comes from? If there was nothing more than every day we could see exactly where all of it comes from or something like that. And again, Matt may be able to tell us you can't do it, but there's definitely a lot of case right there that says, what are the sources? And then show that to the community, the public, and say, please understand it's actually this, this, and this. Stop blaming this. That could be a big difference right there. Yes.
Do we have any data like on other sources, like for instance, coal-fired plants? I don't know if there are any.
There's been data sets submitted on several different sources, I believe. I know, what does it track on the MESOS side? The different particulates?
We just, I mean, we only have one sensor right now, so it's pretty much, all our stuff is pretty much atmospheric variables except for one sensor that has PM2.5 particulates, stuff like that.
Okay.
So
EPA,
But yeah,
EPA ones have several different types of toxicity, different things that are in the air, toxic chemicals, etc. But also, Kennecott is trying to provide data for us from some of their point sources. And then there's a guy that works with the state that we've been trying to figure out how to get a hold of. His name is Roman Cooper, I believe, but there's enough Romans out there that might be a famous person. Anyway, he just finished a large study on toxic chemicals that are in the air as well, and we're going to try to get those and where each of them are coming from and so on.
So there are a lot of data sets out there talking about the sources of where these things come from. I see it as our job really to correlate those and start saying, yeah, it is this, or no, it's not. That could be a great part of it.
Just to throw this out there, there's one of the things that intrigues me is the inversions, right? I grew up in California, which is smoggy all the time, right? Moved here, and I look outside here, and I can see the mountains. I couldn't do that in Pasadena, right? You look at the mountains, you don't see it. So for me, I'm thinking this is great air quality, right? But then in the wintertime, I go skiing, and I look down in the valley, and it's just this brown, red muck down there. And I'm like, do I really want to go down in there and go to sleep, or maybe I'll stay up here, for the night. So that concentration. So I'm just throwing this out there. If anyone's interested in looking at solutions for like how to clear out inversions, like you're talking about with whatever. I don't know, some creative, moonshot ideas maybe for how to get rid of inversions, given that the pollution is going to stay the same. At least we can do something about the concentration. I'm interested in exploring. So I'm just throwing that out there as an idea.
Okay.
Possibility.
Excellent.
Matt, do you have any guidance on that too?
I'm curious to see any, pie in the sky ideas for it. I mean, we tend to just, in the atmospheric science community, we tend to just accept it as fact. Like, oh, well, conversions happen, and there's, fact. The geography and the weather in West, in all over the world.
So I think it'd be interesting to take something really new about it and do a root cause analysis and say, what are the things that really have to be there for inversions to happen? And if any one of these are removed, you can, that's something like that, I think would be awesome.
Yeah.
We're going to pump the inversion into the NSA data center.
Let's not mention that again.
We've got to figure out how to involve the pumps in West Desert somehow.
That would be a good use for it.
Fire those back up.
Yeah, it'd be great if we could just push it out there. Instead of the vinyl town, that's all right, other questions, comments? Like I said, this is going to be posted. We're trying to get it up onto the website as soon as possible. I'm a little behind. I will post it to the meetup link and to the other links right now. So as soon as I get back to my desk, I'll post it there. You can read through these. And then I'll put these in as submissions to the Open Civic site.
Do you want us to keep distributing the link for this and see if we can get more responses, or are you kind of done with responses?
I have no problem with adding more to it. We may change it at the point to say, just send your submission to the Open Civic data set, because there's a voting portal there. And I'm going to showcase that tomorrow. I haven't had time to get it all together. But basically, it might be easier just to do that, and then their submission goes directly into there.
Okay.
But absolutely, if somebody still wants to answer the survey, I think that's great. Because if nothing else, we're probably going to turn this over to the state again and say, here's what some of the people said about what they want to see. You know, and that's important for them as well. Do you have a question?
Yeah, related abstracts, how do we find links to that?
The abstracts are also in a document just like this. There's about 7 or 8 of them, and I'll share the same exact document.
So we'll find out from the big data.
Yeah, what the abstracts.
When you're referring to the website, which URL?
BigDataUtah.org is the website typically for all of this stuff. We'll be changing the front page to mimic what you just saw in the rules and on this piece of paper, probably in the next day. And then all your primary links, your submission forms, your registration, everything will run through BigDataUtah.org.
Well, registration for
Geeky
conferences,
Events,
etc., it's
yeah.
all on Utah Geek
It's
Events.
still on Utah Geek Events, yeah. And that's not going to change.
Okay, good.
Yeah. So yeah, hopefully I got to get the page over to Matt, and then we'll get it up, and that you'll see that site change. All the links will still be there, and we'll have new links for all of this stuff. But I'll put these up in the meetup link right now, because that'll go out to everybody that went to the meetup link or the Google Hangout. People that are on the phone right now or that are on the recording, they'll see these so that they know where the links are. And that way we have it everywhere. Okay, other questions, discussions, topics? Matt, anything you'd like to add that we're all crazy and we're going to find something really cool?
No, I'm just excited to see where you guys go with this. I think, you know, the more that we can do to solidify what we already know is helpful, to help dispel rumors about, you know, where it's coming from, where the pollution is coming from. The more we can solidify, okay, these are the source, these are how much contribution each source is, things like that will, you know, inevitably help. And any analysis that can be done. You know, from a more scientific perspective, you know, think about how well you can replicate what you're doing, methodology and things like that, because that really helps to increase the amount of credence people give to your work. It's a big thing to think about when you're going through working on your projects. It's something that we always have to think about the scientific community. Because everybody wants to know how to actually use what you're doing and apply these kinds of stuff to places, things like that.
So no cold fusion solutions, just.
Well, I mean,
That's it, it's repeatable.
Yeah,
It's repeatable.
Repeat your cold fusion solution, and that will solve your quality problem.
And you don't blow up your house in the process.
Yeah.
That will probably be a likely candidate for a winner, though.
Yeah. It's high cold fusion air quality, free energy.
Turning pollution into energy.
Maybe a little bit of
There's gotta
pollution.
be-
That would be interesting if somebody can find a way to actually turn the inversion
Energy.
and consume the inversion or consume the pollutant at the same time.
That would be really cool.
Nanobites.
Some 13-year-old kid in California came up with the solutions to deliver cancer drugs, so it's out there.
Yeah, it is. I agree. But yeah, I'm just excited to see what you guys do. And you know, Pat has my email. If you guys have any questions while you're going through this process, feel free to ask me any questions you have, especially about the weather data and things like that. Yeah.
Along the lines of repeating some of the work you've already done, is your work available? Just wondering if we do have access to that.
Yeah, that's a good question. I sent out a couple of the papers that we've published recently. One on, I guess,
Dr. White.
Dr. Whiteman's paper. Did I send you the PCAPS paper? I don't remember if I did or not, but I can send you that one. There was a study that our group did 3 or 4 winters ago concerning persistent cold air pools in the Salt Lake Valley, the fancy word for inversions. And so I can put that paper out there, and that gives a sense of the results. I think there's actually a couple of papers from PCAPS.
I think
and I can make those available to you.
I'd be interested too in compute power, timing and stuff for you to come to this results as well.
Yeah, I'm not quite as familiar with the way that they did that, and a lot of it's sort of different people go with different ways with how they did the analysis, but I can see what I can find out about how we gathered those results.
I've published that paper at one time in one of the newsletters or something, so I'll dig up the link. It's somewhere inside the site that we can look at that, or it might be one of the JIRA tickets that it's listed there. And then, if nothing else, I thought we put it in the same directory where the Mass West data ended up.
Yeah,
so there might be just sitting there also as well. So yeah, we definitely published that, but the JIRA ticket, if nothing else, probably helps. I can take that up and find it.
Real quick, how many people are already on a team? And how many people are looking for a team?
Do you want us
Maybe show
all
hands on
the?
it first, yeah.
Looking, how many are looking?
Looking.
I think it would be easier. Yeah, just about most. Okay, how many are on or planning already one already? Pretty much. Okay. So, good amount. So, team, ones that already found a team, please go and talk to the ones that are looking. You always need more people. Like I said, we have no problem seeing larger teams this time. We'd like to see that. We think it'll work well to get more people out to your team. So, get an advantage.
I would make a
Nothing
note
else?
that several of the people that are looking for a team are talented and have done, I mean, everybody's talented, but have actually worked with a lot of these technologies already. Right? So.
All right, anything else? Any other questions anybody has? Now, we'll see some of you this evening, maybe tomorrow, maybe Friday. Tend to be here a lot, but thanks for coming. Thank you, WCF, for sponsoring the room and pizza. So like I said, you'll see links for sure on the meetup and the Google Hangout, and then at least by hopefully tonight, tomorrow morning, we'll have the entire page updated with all this new information. Okay? Thanks everybody for coming.
After seeing the person who commented about the meat industry in Utah